You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. Independent dealers typically have a price advantage, which is kind of like eye candy to a consumer, especially now as inflation remains high. Cole Frankman, who's a dealer principal of Frankman Motor Company, joins us now to share his perspective on what he's seen in his marketplace. So thank you so much, Cole, for joining us today on the show.
Absolutely. Good to be here.
Sure. First and foremost, how's business?
June's heating up. Had a really good May. February, March was kind of on the medium side, but summer's proving to be more similar to the pre-COVID years. Normal cyclical activity.
Yeah, which weren't bad years if you're, right? I mean, 2018, 2019, I remember celebrating some pretty good years in those years, right?
Yeah, we can kind of lose sight of that going through the COVID where everything went bananas for a while, but
no question about it. Let me ask you, is affordability an issue with your customers today? I mean, the average price of a new car is almost $50,000. It's some $35,000, I think, or greater on the used car side. Numbers are up there. I mean, it used to be that you'd go to a used car to really save a whole bunch of money. But man, even at the $35,000 number, that's still pretty high.
Yeah, I think affordability is going to be an issue for any buyer in the market.
Yeah.
And I think back to the COVID thing, it kind of spoiled everybody because they may have gone through that period and gotten something nicer than they were used to, and then everything's dialed back, especially if they purchased during COVID and you're dealing with some negative equity situations depending on the car they bought. And a lot of my guys, especially, we talk about a lot, we can forget that they didn't build 10 million cars that they were supposed to.
That's right.
So now people are holding on to the used cars, and then you're missing a bunch of vehicles now that should be there. Combine that with the interest rates going back to kind of a pre-COVID normal level again that people aren't used to, especially a lot of first-time buyers. That's kind of a hard thing to swallow. And we kind of have a 50-50 discussion with customers. If there's objections, it's kind of 50% price sensitive and 50% interest rate sensitive.
Okay.
And some no matter what the price is, they, you see 8-9% interest rate on a proposal, and they just kind of turn their nose at that. They're not used to it. They kind of go through a few dealerships before they know that's the norm.
Right, exactly. Otherwise, they hold it on you and say your interest rates are high, rather than.
I hope I'm not the first place they go, I guess, sometimes.
That's right. With that in mind, are people focused more? They're focused more on payments, though, right? Rather than they are the sticker price of the car or even the interest rates. I mean, it seems to me most people come in and buy based on payments, and if you can keep that monthly payment within their budget, regardless of how you got there, whether it be made up of interest rate or trade allowance or whatever, then you're in a good spot with most customers, right?
Yeah, I think so. We have a finance capture here around 70%. So 70% of my customers do finance with us. We partner with local credit unions, national banks. We got your allies, and we also have your small local credit unions. With the higher interest rates, I have seen, especially the last 4 years, it was payment, doesn't matter, I don't care. You get to the payment, that's great. Now, when you're seeing some 8-9% interest rates, we're actually seeing some customers, we'll sit down with them and take the time and do the math, and they're calculating interest over the loan. And, people that may have gone from a 72 term to an 84 or a 60 to a 72, they're starting to say, no, I don't want to break the term out because the interest will be too much. So then they're dialing back to term as an anchor point and then trying to maximize their payment. Or minimize their payment, I should say. But that's been interesting the past couple of years. Past 18 months for sure.
How are you sourcing your vehicles in your market?
Oh man, heavy auction. Obviously, we're independent, so we spend a lot of time at the auction, a lot of appraisals, and really picking out the ones we want. We buy off the street. We have a history of specialty and classic cars and all that, so we're probably not the norm where we're kind of suited. I mean, we're buying cars off Craigslist in Colorado and shipping cars in from Nevada.
Wow.
If it's the lower 48, we're in.
What's the most unique car that you've purchased to sell?
Oh man, I make a joke with the people that friends of mine that I do business with, and last year on the same book of business, we sold a 1919 Packard fire truck and a 2019 Lamborghini Urus. So
wow, you are all over the map on that deal.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Wow, 1919. That's incredible. That's pretty cool. So, are you seeing any EVs coming in on trade, and do you deal in EVs? Is that something that you're selling now as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Mostly Teslas. We've had some Chevy Bolts and that sort of thing. A couple Leafs, but mainly Teslas. I've had some of the performance Model S's, and I've also done some Model Ys and Model 3s on like the budget side. The new semi-new tax credit for the 25 and under is playing a role. I think it's like $4,000 or something.
Okay.
We've had to train ourselves on like how to do that paperwork, how to educate the customer, because they hear there's a tax credit and don't really understand how it works.
Right.
So we need to make sure that that's, I don't want to sell you a car thinking that you're going to get this and then it doesn't qualify, that sort of thing.
Right. Right.
We've done a lot of educating there. I've had to install a couple charging stations, but nothing much. I usually only I probably carry less than 5.
Okay.
But when I get them, 5 at a time.
Okay.
When I get them, I price them to move.
Are you finding though consumers are coming in and asking about EVs?
Yeah, and a lot of them will. I mean, I'm in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. My dealership has a cornfield out back, and the city's out front. So there's definitely a market tolerance for how many EVs the city can sustain. But
sure.
I'm seeing more and more every single day. A lot of people will come here and look at a Tesla, and we have no problem showing them. We've learned a lot on them, and some of the in-depth questions. You can go on Tesla's website, kind of figure out how the car works, but like on a used market, does it have full self-driving?
Yeah.
What is that? Is it upgradable? Does it have the tech? What years? What?
Sure.
So we've spent a lot of time there, and I have a couple salesmen that are kind of super nerds about that stuff, so they lean into it and help customers when they come in. But
Did you take advantage of the when Hertz dumped a whole bunch of Tesla vehicles at super low prices? Did you grab any of those?
We bought a few of them. Okay. Like I said, we only kind of carry 5 at a time. I don't have 20 chargers lined up out front, and I like to keep the velocity there. But we bought some of those.
Now in the winter, it's very cold where you are.
It gets a little chilly.
What kind of a role does that play in EV sales? Are consumers a little standoffish because of that?
Certain people are. I think there's a place for them. It's definitely people's second or third vehicle. It's like their extra car. They're not going full EV everything. Okay. In my neighborhood though, I know a couple neighbors of mine that they have a Ford Lightning, they have a Tesla, and they have a couple Rivians. Yeah. And they have no gas. They're all electric.
Yeah. Wow.
But Sioux Falls, we have a lower cost of living. Yeah. A lot of people have garage stalls. A lot of people are, charging every night. Mm-hmm. The people we see that kind of get weary about the cold are, people that live in apartments or don't have access to personal in-home heated charge garage stall.
Sure. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So you're on course for a pretty decent year?
We're actually on course to beat, not 2020, but all the other COVID years. We're on course to beat those.
Wow, so that's pretty strong.
We've pushed really hard. We made a lot of changes here and always trying to improve and stay at the forefront of everything. I think I got a CRM upgrade 2 years ago. I'm starting to get my fix stops really dialed in. We have a service center, we have a full body shop. I have a restoration shop.
That's pretty strong independent operation you've got running there. To have a full service center and body shop, and wow.
I think I got 60 people on staff now.
Oh my gosh. So are you one of those dealers that says, I love being an independent, I never want a franchise, or are you on the side of one day the opportunity is going to come to get a franchise and I want to be ready?
I do like being an independent and the freedom that comes with it, but I've been in the business long enough to know that I don't know everything. Yeah. And the fact that there are new car franchises out there tells me that something about them works, and I wouldn't turn my nose up at the opportunity to have one. But any negative connotation I might have is probably because I just don't know.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Cole Frankman, dealer principal at Frankman Motor Company. in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, right? And wow,
yeah.
that's what you guys are doing there is incredible. So you've got 60 people in your employment. Sounds to me like a franchise dealership without the franchise. But thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure talking with you.
Yep. All right. Have a great week.
You too. Thanks.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.